We're going to get into question 3. This is a long one, so please bear with me as I read through a little bit, as I set the stage, so to speak, for this question. But let's get into it. Question number 3. So Portland, along with other cities across the nation, is experiencing a rise in houselessness driven by the lack of affordable housing. The ongoing COVID pandemic has economically wrecked entire communities, devastated households, and significantly and continued lack of access to mental health services, including healthcare centered substance use disorder treatment. Despite credible research showing that police sweeps of houseless encampments do not solve houselessness and fail to lead to effective housing solutions, city resources continue to support this harmful practice. My question to you is just let's dive into sweeps. I want to know, how would we prevent displacement of the houseless community and elevate real solutions that result in vulnerable Portlanders really finding and maintaining housing? Yeah, how do we do that from your perspective?
First thing that comes to mind is the word sacrifice. We are very privileged overall as American citizens, and there's some things that we consider to be inconveniences that really, when it comes to the sake of uplifting fallen humanity, we have to go the extra mile. Like, for example, if you go home and you watch your, Big Brother, or you watch Survivor, and you get to hang out with your family, play cards, we play Skip-Bo at my house, and things like that. But there's people that don't have that experience while you are enjoying the moment and the memories that are being cultivated with your family. There's people on the streets that are suffering. So why not take 2, 3, 4 days out of the week, right? And actually add value, get some clothes for them. Why are you trying to make money from the clothes when you could just give the clothes to the people and give them in good condition and uplift them, right? That's just like a frame of mind for people who are listening, that is something that has to happen irregardless of who's elected. We have to take some time and make some sacrifices. That's one. Second thing, infill development is how we need to look at how we're building structures. Secondly, or thirdly rather, when it comes to these vacant buildings, I would say boldly, eminent domain for the sake of uplifting fallen humanity. It's not a matter of if or planning about it. No, there's vacant buildings that have been in Portland for over 30 years, and I'm 30. That is very, very disgusting. There's no reason why we're having these conditions other than people being narcissistic and selfish. Again, sacrifice is needed. The will of the people has to be rooted in upliftment, right? Upliftment in mind, right? So that's fourth or fifth. Next, the zoning laws. Zoning laws have to be maybe mixed use, maybe commercial, mixed, or however it needs to be reallocated and reevaluated, but it needs to be happening, because there's certain parts of the city, where you go from west side to east side and you think like you're in a whole different country. I think that we having these 4 new districts, we're going to be seeing some big changes, and the collaboration that I've been doing with all of these different candidates is remarkable. So I'm pretty excited about that in regards to their legislative procedures that they're going to be implementing. Pivoting over to the question again, we and my few members on my campaign team have focused on a restaurant revitalization initiative. You said, well, why you bring up restaurant revitalization? Well, the federal government had a restaurant revitalization fund that was closed in 2023. We were fortunate enough to be able to reignite it to the best of our ability as private citizens. And so now we're able to provide growth capital to restaurant owners from $5,000 to $5 million. Fortunately, we've also been able to double down on that, and we've connected with national business capital, and now we're able to provide loans and lines of credit for business owners. So what does that equate to, though? Because people want to make money, I understand that, but we also want to have jobs for those people. So that is the framework for the social impact that I've been working with Bay Group of Companies, which is the first Moorish American-owned private equity company in the country. And beyond that, I was talking about farming a little bit, of being agrarian. Job opportunity and reassessing how we use these vacant lots is how we can actually add value. My experience with farming is very spiritual, because you think about the sowing of a seed and what you reap in the harvest. It's also your thoughts, the thoughts that you have with good intention, they're like seeds. And what you say is like the fruit, and so again, going into the morality component, how we look at people has to change. And then again, hopefully in due time, how we look ourselves, that will then evolve into something more beautiful, just like these beautiful flowers you have displayed here. And your beautiful outfit. I had to give it a shout out once again. Yes, which is royalty, right? And so that's kind of painting a picture, because I'm an artist. I do illustrations too. I just use words more often than painting, right? But that is my component, what I'm bringing to the table. Because when you're getting into agripreneurship, we have a food system, right, that is not as strong as it could be. We have a corporate merger process taking place, which unfortunately I think I know the outcome will be, because I know individuals are greedy, right? And regardless of what the situation may be, we're going to keep pushing back on these mergers and making sure there's not a expansion of this oligopoly that we have here in the United States of America, which is an oligarch and a monopoly combined together. I'm sure you already know that, but just for the viewers who may not know what those words mean in these terms, that's what we have. And so it's now time to not only put pressure on them with them putting their fair share with taxes, but we now want them to be contributing to the food system. Give you an example real quick. I know I have a little bit of time. You have Fred Meyer, you have Walmart, you have Albertsons, Safeway, etc. Every once in a while, we've all been to a grocery store and it has a little tag on it that says it's almost expired, or this is now a discount because it's expired. And then what ends up happening, if it doesn't go to other nonprofits that are already doing the work of redistributing that money, like Feed the Mass, what ends up happening is it goes in the trash, right? So that's crazy. So there is no reason under my leadership and in my administration, people are gonna go without food. We have all this area. We have rooftop gardens we can cultivate. We have gardening in people's homes and backyards that we can cultivate. There's a farm in my house, 200 square feet. You got squash, you got cucumbers, you got a calendula oil for your skin. This is all from my little tiny house front that I got, which is beautiful because working with Portland Clean Energy Fund, I was able to get a grant to assist with transforming yards into farms. So I say this, I know that they may be a disadvantage for me being so young in this race. But the thing is that my ideals will supersede me losing. Because people that have a sound mind and good character, they'll say, I know what Durrell got going on. I'm gonna try to support him in that and implement it myself, however I feel inspired to do so. Because if you're now able to get locally grown fresh food, because this is now distributed from Safeway, Walmart, they're gonna be distributing this to the different organizations. They're not gonna have the organizations take their limited resources, having somebody that's a volunteer driving to Walmart to fill up their van to get all the food. No, you're going to get your money, you're gonna get your trucks, preferably EV or hybrid, and then you're going to take that food and you're going to have someone designated to do the routes to drop off that food to the specific community members or the specific hubs for the neighborhood associations who should be receiving that, right? Because that's the vision. If not, it's going to trickle down to the other organizations that are in the area that are actively on it and ready to go. And then on the other side, because this is the completion of the whole food system, the food that may not reach anybody, right? Now we got to make compost. Why? So we could redistribute back to the soil. so the soil can be regenerative and it can grow and develop with the companion planting approaches instead of monocropping, which is very, very bad for the soil and the microbials in the soil, which affect the nutrients that you're eating in the food. So we're now going to get renewable energy from that, not just compost with the methane gas using the Poop to Power project. So this is kind of a painting a picture of how this moves, with the root being food and jobs, thousands of jobs being created for the growth and development of our city.
Thank you for that so much. I'm hearing that you're going to be a champion for food systems and this ecology that you spoke of earlier, and how that contributes to ending the displacement of houseless communities. It's building up this community and preventing it from this perspective. So thank you for sharing. I was taking some great notes and actively listening here about some of your plans for economic development within that, and housing with some mixed use zoning in there, as well as food. I'm curious, just while we have you here, is I'm sure you know sweeping houseless folks constantly that's happening in the city is very expensive. It's a pretty expensive line item for the city. I'm curious, if you become mayor, what would you advocate for that line item to be moved or reallocated to something else? Would you? I guess maybe that's the first question.
Yeah,
and
definitely
if
would.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
please.
definitely would. And one thing that comes to mind is inspiration from a mayoral candidate named Susan, I believe. Susan or Sharon. I can't quite recall it at the top of my head, but she talked about board houses, or boarding houses. So that's like a structure, right? But furthermore, beyond that, the funds should be supporting homeowners, right, to be able to establish ADUs or AUDs, to be able to house these folks in on their property, and be able to keep the building structure upon the assessment of the wraparound services that are going to be in that household of the person who volunteers to assist the community member. Again, we're going back to sacrifice. All right, we're not talking about, hey, this is mandatory, right? But this is a approach to house individuals. And also, a good friend downstairs who works for Portland, our community, Central City Concern, Brandon, just met him right before I got up here. And he talked about the need for centralizing these services, one, centralizing the actual living spaces as opposed to scattering them all over the place, because basically you want to have a one-stop shop. It's what he was kind of suggesting. And I think that is sound, especially when you think about the concept of central city concern, because the concerns of the city should be centralized in a way that is adding value, not dismantling it. And I would say that's pretty much it for the most part. But I wanted to expound just a little bit more, because I was going to say it earlier, is our approach to how we build or create housing, right? Everyone has a different preference in regards to housing structures, right? But I think that when you're talking about creating opportunities for housing, right, you have to diversify. There's a beautiful technology, I guess you would call it technology, called mycelium. Mycelium has the capability to be molded into bricks that can be available to build houses or home structures. Two, we have hemp. Shout out to Simply Soul out of Molalla, Oregon. Travis Bond has a farm with hemp, and we could use his expertise and his partners to establish hempcrete to build other structures. And thirdly, there's earthship concepts, where you're working with individuals like from the Rebuilding Center, where all of those different things that they have within their establishment could be used to build structures for people to actually live inside and make it ecological, allow for solar to be implemented, allow for water catching to be implemented. Now, this is also expanding to everyone, right? Because we want to be continuously catching water so we can cut down the cost of the energy that's continuously going to rise, establishing more renewable energy. So we have the resources preserved to assist as many people as possible, and then share the duplication of the model to other cities. So that is few ideas on how we assist the individuals who are dealing with those sweeps to have mechanisms available to add value to their life and uplift them. Because homelessness is temporary.
Thank you.
I want to. That's my belief. It's temporary. We have the ability to eradicate it.
Thank you so much for sharing this bold vision, I would say, for how we can center community and make sure folks have the services they need, and reallocating the funds to what I'm hearing is programs and partnerships that could help alleviate our problem and also provide jobs for folks as well. Thank you so much.